Do you hear it? The echoes of the past, the whispers of forgotten truths, fragments of memories lost in the shadows. Welcome to BRAINROT, Echoes, where we bring you stories long buried, unravel mysteries cloaked by time, and guide you through the darkest corners of the mind and the universe. Each video is more than just content. It's an echo resonating deep within, urging you to question, to wonder, to explore. Backend index pointing right, hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and join us in listening to the echoes the world tried to silence. The Galactic exam, a lesson in human hilarity. You're telling me that humans are the only species to pass the test. High Counselor Zix's crystalline appendages trembled with disbelief, sending rainbow-like refractions across the chamber walls. The same humans who still watch videos of their own species falling downstairs for entertainment. Exactly, your luminescence. Administrator Vate adjusted his sensory stalks uncomfortably, though I feel compelled to point out that they also watch videos of their juvenile felines doing the same thing. They find both equally amusing. The High Counselor's crystalline form dimmed slightly, the equivalent of a weary sigh among the prismatic collective. Explain it to me again from the beginning. Vate's hollow chart flickered to life, displaying a timeline of galactic civilization spanning several million years. As you know, we've been conducting first contact evaluations for approximately 47,000 standard cycles. The Sentience Qualification Test was designed to be the ultimate measure of species readiness to join the galactic community. Yes, Zix interrupted, their crystals taking on an impatient orange hue. Skip to the relevant part. Of course. Vate's hollow chart zoomed into a particular section. The test has 3 components: problem-solving, ethical reasoning, and adaptive response. Every species we've encountered has failed at least one component. The Zorian, despite their 17 cerebral lobes, couldn't solve the quantum maze. The hive mind of Epsilon Ardeni got stuck in an ethical loop debating the morality of pressing the start button. And, well, we don't talk about what happened with the Glorn Collective. We lost 3 testing facilities that day. Zix reminisced grimly. They're still apologizing with interpretive dance performances. Indeed, but humans. Vate's sensory stalks wiggled with a mixture of amazement and confusion. They approached it differently. Earth hours earlier, Sarah Chun stared at the glowing alien console before she tried to make sense of the instructions floating in perfect English, or whatever passed for English in alien translation technology. She was humanity's randomly selected representative for this supposedly important test, chosen by what the aliens called quantum lottery, but what she suspected was more like throwing a dart at a list of names. So let me get this straight, she said, addressing the floating orb that served as her proctor. This is a test to determine humanity's readiness to join the galactic community, correct? The orb chimed pleasantly. The test consists of 3 parts, and you randomly selected a high school physics teacher from Cleveland. Our selection process is beyond your current level of understanding, the orb explained, managing to sound both polite and condescending at the same time. Sarah snorted. Buddy, I teach 9th grade physics. Nothing is beyond my level of comprehension anymore. I once had to explain why eating Tide Pods was bad using Newton's laws of motion. The orb's glow flickered briefly, possibly processing this information. The test will begin now. Part 1, problem solving. You must navigate a quantum maze while. Quick question, Sarah interrupted, raising her hand out of habit. Are there any rules against using external resources? The orb paused. I don't understand the question. Like, is this open book? Can I phone a friend? Use my lifelines? You know, basic game show stuff. This is not a game show. This is a serious evaluation of your species' cognitive capabilities. Sarah grinned. You didn't say no. She pulled out her smartphone, which surprisingly had 5 bars of service in an alien testing facility, and opened her group chat. Sarah, hey nerds, alien test time. Need help with a quantum maze. Dr. Brain Brian. Like, actual alien test? Sarah, yep. Fate of humanity and all that. Rocket Girl Jess, OMG cool. Send pic. Sarah, image attached, Quantum Queen May. Oh, that's just a 4D Klein bottle. Easy. Dr. Brain Brian. Classic quantum tunneling puzzle. Sarah. Cool, how do I solve it? Rocket Girl Jess. Have you tried turning it off and on again? Quantum Queen May. First you'll need to. 20 minutes and several memes later, Sarah had not only solved the quantum maze, but had also found 3 shortcuts and 1 bug in the system that technically allowed for negative completion time. The orb seemed to be in a state of shock. Its glow dimmed to a confused flicker. That's not. You can't. Part 2. Sarah urged cheerfully. The ethical reasoning test. The orb continued, sounding less certain now. You have to evaluate a complex moral dilemma involving. Oh, like the trolley problem? The what? You know, the classic ethics thought experiment. Trolley heading towards 5 people. You can pull a lever to divert it to kill 1 person. Philosophy 101 stuff. This is far more complex than. Because we've been arguing about that one for centuries. There are like 10,000 variations, and my favorite is the one with the trolley doing a loop-de-loop. The orb's glow turns slightly pink. This is different. You must consider the implications of. Hold on, let me check something. Sarah was already typing on her phone. Sarah, guys, alien ethical reasoning test. Thoughts? Philosophy fan Pete. Hit me, Sarah. Image attached, philosophy fan Pete. Oh, that's just Kant's categorical imperative with extra steps. Dr. Brain Brian. LOL, they made the prisoner's dilemma into a real thing. Rocket Girl Jess, multi-track drifting. Quantum Queen May, guys, focus. Sarah, here's what you need to consider. An hour later, Sarah had not only resolved the ethical dilemma, but had also submitted a peer-reviewed paper's worth of citations, including references to 3 different philosophical traditions, and irrelevant, you must demonstrate your species' ability to handle unexpected situations. Cool. Like improv. Sarah was already sending another message. Sarah, final round. Need creative problem-solving improv ideas. Improv Master Kyle, yes. First rule of improv. Always say yes and. Artistic Alex, break conventional patterns. Rocket Girl Jess, chaos monkey everything. Dr. Brain Brian, have you considered explosions? Sarah, guys, I'm trying to save humanity here. Rocket Girl Jess, exactly. Controlled explosions. Quantum Queen May, what about? The next 2 hours involved Sarah implementing what she later described as a combination of MacGyver performance art, and that one time the chemistry lab had to be evacuated. The solution involved 3 TikTok dances, a detailed explanation of why cats always land on their feet with accompanying YouTube videos, and a small, controlled fusion reaction that she swears was totally safe. Mostly. By the end, the orb had gone completely silent, its glow reduced to a confused pulse. And that's what happened. Vate finished, their sensory stalks drooping slightly. She passed all 3 parts with what they call flying colors. Though I must note that colors don't actually fly in any known dimension. High Counselor Zix's crystalline form had taken on a deep blue hue of contemplation. So let me understand this correctly. When faced with the most complex test we could devise, one that has stumped the greatest minds in the galaxy, the human's response was to ask her friends for help. Not just her friends, Vate corrected. She also consulted something called Wikipedia, watched several YouTube tutorials, and at one point used something called Reddit, where she received 7,432 responses in under an hour, including 3 detailed mathematical proofs and 1 recipe for chocolate chip cookies. But that's cheating. Zix's crystals flashed with indignation. Actually, Vate said carefully, we reviewed the test parameters. Nowhere does it state that the representative must solve the problem alone. We designed it to test species capability, not individual capability. We just never considered that any species would think to solve it together. Are you saying that humans' great innovation, their unique solution that no other species conceived of in 47,000 cycles, was to just ask others for help? Not exactly, your luminescence. Their innovation was not seeing it as a test at all. To them, it was just another problem to solve, no different from what did she call it? Helping students with their homework. They treated one of the most sophisticated evaluation systems in the galaxy like it was a group project. Zix's crystalline form shifted through several colors before settling on a peculiar shade of mauve. And the quantum maze shortcuts? The ethical framework citations? The controlled fusion reaction? All documented, peer-reviewed, and apparently now trending on something called TikTok. The human has already submitted a paper to their AR-14 about the quantum maze shortcuts, and the ethical framework she provided is being studied by our philosophers. As we speak, humans, apparently, have been debating these concepts since before they discovered electricity. But the fusion reaction was perfectly safe, Veit assured quickly. Although our engineers are still trying to understand how she achieved it using only a smartphone, 2 paper clips, and something called a Starbucks gift card. The High Counselor was silent for a long moment, their crystalline forms cycling through various shades of thought. Finally, they spoke. So what you're telling me is that when humans are faced with a challenge beyond their individual capabilities, they ask for help. Yes. And when confronted with complex moral dilemmas, they debate them endlessly and share memes about them. Yes. And when required to demonstrate adaptive problem solving, they treat it like entertainment and document everything for their social media followers. Zix's form suddenly brightened to a brilliant white. Don't you see what this means, Administrator Veit? Veit's sensory stalks quivered questioningly. Every other species we've tested has tried to prove their worth as individuals. The Zorian with their 17 cerebral lobes, the hive mind with its collective consciousness, even the Gloran collective with their interpretive dance. But humans didn't try to prove anything. They just did what they always do. They turned it into a group activity, made it fun, and solved it together while simultaneously making jokes about it. Are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that while every other species treated our test as a solemn challenge, humans treated it like a Tuesday. And in doing so, they demonstrated exactly why they're ready for the galactic community. They don't take themselves too seriously. They're willing to ask for help. They document and share knowledge freely. And most importantly, they've somehow weaponized their own inability to take anything seriously into a problem-solving methodology that works better than anything we've seen in 47,000 cycles. Then consider this. They pass. They pass, Zix confirmed, their crystals now glowing with amused acceptance. Though I suspect we're the ones who just learned something. Send the acceptance notification. Already done. Your luminescence. The human has already posted it on her Instagram before she left the testing facility. It's already received something called 1 million likes and several thousand comments asking if aliens are verified on Twitter yet. Zix's form flickered with what might have been a chuckle. You know what, Administrator? I think the galaxy just got a lot more interesting. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Sarah Chun walked into her 9th grade physics class the next morning, coffee in hand, looking no different than any other day. Her students, however, were practically vibrating with excitement. Miss Chun, is it true you took an alien test yesterday? Did you really solve a quantum maze? My mom saw your TikTok about the fusion reaction. Sarah took a calm sip of her coffee. Yes. And tell your mom, thanks for the tip about the gift card catalyst. It worked perfectly. She set her coffee down and picked up her teacher marker. Now, who's ready to learn about quantum mechanics? Trust me, after yesterday, I've got some really interesting real-world applications to share. The class erupted in cheers, and Sarah couldn't help but smile. Maybe being humanity's selected representative wasn't such a bad gig after all. At least it would make for one hell of a how I spent my summer vacation story at the next faculty meeting. As she began writing on the board, her phone buzzed with a new announcement. Galactic Council has joined Twitter. At Galactic Council is now following you. Sarah grinned. The universe, it seemed, had a sense of humor after all. Miss Chun, are we really going to have an alien exchange student? Emma asked from the back row, not even trying to hide the fact that she was live-streaming the entire conversation. Sarah looked up from her phone, where she'd been reading the latest Galactic Council orientation package, now available as a surprisingly well-designed app. Her classroom was buzzing with even more energy than usual, if that was possible. Actually, Tommy, we're getting 3, she replied, unable to keep the amusement out of her voice. Apparently, after my test results went viral, half the galaxy species want to study our educational methods. Even the ones that look like talking crystals. Especially them. Sarah pulled up the holographic display that had been installed in her classroom overnight, apparently standard issue for all Earth schools now. The Prismatic Collective is particularly interested in our, she checked her notes, remarkable chaotic yet effectively optimized information transmission methodologies. They mean memes, don't they? Someone called out. They absolutely mean memes, Sarah confirmed. In fact, hold on, let me check something. She pulled out her phone and opened her now significantly more exotic group chat. Sarah at Hi Counselor Zix, quick question about the orientation package. Hi Counselor Zix, greetings educator Chin. We are still adapting to your text-based communication protocols. Rocket Girl Jess, OMG, you don't have to use caps lock, your luminescence. Hi Counselor Zix, oh, this is more comfortable. Thank you, Rocket Girl. Quantum Queen May. Did anyone else see the quantum physics curriculum they sent? It's interesting. Dr. Brain Brian. Interesting like wow, cool, or interesting like oh no? Quantum Queen May. Interesting like they're still using string theory unironically. Sarah. Actually, that's what I wanted to ask about. The curriculum integration guidelines. Hi Counselor Zix. Yes, we've prepared extensive documentation. Sarah. I was thinking we could do it potluck style. Hi, Counselor Zix. I do not understand this term potluck. Rocket Girl Jess, space potluck. Improv Master Kyle. Yes, and space barbecue. Hi, Counselor Zix. What is happening? Sarah, trust me, it'll work better than any official guidelines. Sarah looked up from her phone to find her entire class watching her expectantly. Good news, everyone. We're having a potluck next week to welcome our Galactic exchange students. Bad news. We need to figure out what foods are safe for crystalline life forms. The class erupted in excited chatter, and Sarah could already see students pulling up research on their devices. She hadn't even assigned it as homework. They were just genuinely curious. Sometimes she wondered if the aliens had any idea what they were getting themselves into. In the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, High Counselor Zix was experiencing what humans might call a moment of clarity. Administrator Vate. They called out, their crystalline form shifting through thoughtful hues. I believe we may have miscalculated. Vate's sensory stalks perked up with concern. About the humans, your luminescence? Yes, we thought passing our test meant they were ready for the galactic community. Zix's form sparkled with what might have been laughter. But I'm beginning to suspect that we weren't ready for them. Is this about the meme economy they're trying to establish with the Zorian? Partially. Did you know the humans have already created something called TikTok tutorials for proper crystalline being care and maintenance? There's one about optimal light refraction angles that has over 10 million views. 10 million. And the comments section is full of genuine scientific discourse, mixed with something called vain puns. Vade adjusted their feeds uncomfortably. The hive mind of Epsilon Eridani has reported similar phenomena. Apparently, they've become addicted to something called cat videos. The Glorin Collective's interpretive dance performances are now trending on multiple human social media platforms. Zix continued. They've been invited to something called America's Got Talent. So we should be concerned? Zix's form shifted to a shade that indicates deep contemplation. You know what the most fascinating part is? The humans aren't just sharing their knowledge. They're actively learning from every species they encounter. That physics teacher, Sarah Chun, she's already incorporated quantum maze principles into her curriculum. Her students solved in weeks what took our scientists centuries to develop. But they're still making jokes about it, Veda offered. They're making jokes while doing it. That's what makes them unique. Every other species we've encountered treats knowledge as something solemn and serious. Humans treat it like a potluck. Veda offered, having recently learned the term. Exactly. Everyone brings something to the table. Everyone shares, and somehow the whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts. Even when they're being completely ridiculous, they're learning and teaching and innovating. The latest reports show that human educational methods are being adopted by 17 different species, Vate noted. Their group project approach to problem solving has increased efficiency across multiple sectors by an average of 300% and decreased salinity by about 1,000%. Zix added, their crystals twinkling with amusement. So we update our first contact protocols? Oh, absolutely. But first, Zix's form brightened. I need to respond to this group chat. Apparently, there's going to be a potluck, and I need to figure out what kind of dish a crystalline being can bring to a human gathering. Back in Cleveland, Sarah was putting the finishing touches on her proposal for the teacher exchange program when she received one final message for the day. Galactic Council Educational Committee. Urgent request for clarification on the concept of spring break. Dr. Brain Brian. Oh, this is going to be good. Rocket Girl Jess. Space Pizza. Quantum Queen May. Technically, in zero gravity. Sarah, one crisis at a time, people. First, we need to figure out how to make pizza safe for crystalline consumption. High Counselor Zix. We are willing to temporarily modify our molecular structure for this important cultural exchange. Improv Master Kyle. Now that's commitment to education. Sarah smiled as she locked up her classroom. On her desk, a stack of permission slips waiting to be signed. Not for the usual trip to the museum or the zoo, but for next week's excursion to the Zorblaxian Science Academy's new ice cream laboratory. Somewhere in the distance, she could hear the Glorin Collective practicing their latest dance routine in the school auditorium. The universe, she decided, was finally getting interesting.